Audiobook Club with Steve Phillips and Matthew Layton.
On this episode of Audiobook Club, the lead character in Adam Kay's new novel gets caught in a rather compromising situation.
When the door flung open, there wasn't a human being on Earth who Eitan less wanted to appear in his direct line of sight than Dr. Douglas Moran. No emoji could convey the horror, anger, bewilderment, and confusion that flashed across Moran's eyes. Gross! What the hell? Cole retrousered and shot out the room like a ferret from a howitzer. Moran was too busy slow shaking his features at Eitan to care. Dr. Moran, stuttered Eitan, I can totally explain. Obviously he couldn't, not even partially. He had broken into the man's office, rooted through his drawers, and now he had his trousers down with a pair of women's underpants on his head. Self-evidently his career was vaporized like a Solero in a stir-fry.
Hello and welcome to Audiobook Club, the podcast about audiobooks that's getting on a bit now and loves nothing better than to have a good old whinge about its ailments. What's up with your ailments and joints, Matt?
Well, it's all about the knees, really, Steve, isn't it? You got to be careful with the knees. You only get one set of those. How about you?
You do, yeah. Although I learnt last week that that scientists in a hospital in central London have now invented or are about to invent a thumb replacement. So if you get arthritis in your sort of lower joint of your thumb down towards the wrist, they can replace that ball and socket style like a hip, and you can have a new thumb.
Well, from what we've learnt about the conditions in hospitals in central London from this particular book that we're reviewing this week, Adam Kay's a particularly nasty case. Is it called Nasty Case or Bad Case? I can't remember.
Nasty Case.
Nasty Case, particularly nasty case. They may think they've done, but it seems... they might all be as high as kites. I don't know.
Well, that case, book me in. I'm all for that. Give me some. This week, we are casting an ear over a particularly nasty case by Adam Kay. This one is narrated, interestingly enough, by Andy Serkis, released just at the end of August at 10 hours and 9 minutes, published by Orion. And this is Adam Kay's first novel. Now, we're big fans of Adam Kay here on the pod, aren't we, Matt? Our first ever episode.
We are, and our first ever interaction on social media as an organisation was with Adam Kay. We asked him we thanked him for taking the time to make to record the audiobook of his work, and asked him what the experience was like. And he, in what I assume is his totally understated way, said it was a bit of a faff. So, perhaps that's the reason he didn't read this one.
Yes, you can understand it. I thought, he did a great job on This Is Going to Hurt and the subsequent books he did, like, 'Twas the Night Shift Before Christmas and all the rest of it. But he's handed it over to Andy Serkis for this one, and we'll get into Andy a little bit later on the podcast. It's the start of a bit of it's like a new season. Back in the day when we were young, if we could do the traditional invoking when we were young kind of section, it's like the new season on BBC One where they roll out all the really good programmes for the autumn, and the same happens with audiobooks as well, doesn't it? And generally books in terms of the printed paper version. We've got loads coming up over the next few weeks, haven't we? Dan Brown and Richard Osman and all the rest of it.
Yes, it is. The thinking is that if you want your book to be number one in the charts the week before Christmas, i.e. when people are buying Christmas presents, you have to release them in September. Though I'm not quite sure how common it is for somebody to gift another person an individual audiobook, as we've touched on in the past.
Yeah, it's all electronically, isn't it? Well, you can't physically gift someone an audiobook unless you sort of make a fake CD cover and just with a link inside it rather than an actual CD. Well, there's a thought.
Yeah.
I've just blown the surprise, Matt, for you this year.
Merch. I'm getting a merch idea out of that.
Let's get some merch going. Yeah, bring back CDs and cassettes. Bring back Storyteller. Bring back the old days. Bring back wax cylinders. Anyway, let's drag us back to 2025 then, and a particularly nasty case. Now, you read the whole book this week, so yes, this was I guess homework that unfortunately I had to hand in very, very late. So you got a bit of hang on the story as itself, but I got through a few chapters.
How far did you get? Because this is quite important. How far do you reckon you got?
It was a very busy week. Chapter 3.
Okay, all right. No, that's fine.
Okay.
And what, just gently, occur sort of an overview from a distance, I would say more jet plane height than helicopter view. What was your feeling about the book?
I confess that I think this is probably my, as well-established disposition to it has to be a really, really incredible blow your socks off kind of get straight into the action murder mystery book for me to get into it. This is your wheelhouse, isn't it? Murder mystery. But for me, you have to get really right into it, and I struggled. I will admit I struggled. Yeah, lots of chapters of sort of exposition and character establishment is not my best friend, admittedly. I would have thought him starting in a sweaty nightclub in Vauxhall, then going back for his first day of work after 4 hours sleep on a bus stop. I would have thought that you would be able to relate to that, Steve. Well, that's it. But that's the thing. It distracted me, and it just reminded me of my time laying at a bus stop in Vauxhall.
We've all been to that club under the arches when it was, 1999 was the only place open after about 11 o'clock at night.
My, how they sprouted.
Oh, indeed.
Yes,
and the clubs.
Yes. When was the last time you went to the Vauxhall Tavern?
Oh, as I say, probably the last century.
Yeah.
I enjoyed not going to Carnival again this year. I had a Wii that Sunday anytime I wanted.
Yes, happy days. Yeah.
Where's the mistakes we have made?
I know. What with the joints the way they are now, there's no way I was going to be able to do the Carnival. Yeah.
No, so this thumb, is this, you've had to ask for personal are you asking for a friend?
No, I went through the process. So yeah, I was having an ultrasound, and the guy, ultrasounded me and just explained what I was looking at on the screen, and he just said, yeah, that's it. You got an arthritic thumb, mate. What have you been doing with your left hand? And of course, that opened it up to the usual jokes and so on, which is understandable.
Some of which are in this book. It's peppered lightly with all that type of thing.
Oh, is it? Oh,
but that's great. That is your band name, isn't it? Steve Phillips and the Arthritic Thumb.
I need more. Yeah, that's just a band of two. I need a group of people. If anyone else is out there, listening to us, who also has an arthritic thumb and will be interested in joining a band, it's a bit of a niche throw out, admittedly. Then do get in touch with us. We're on Blue Sky and also Instagram. But just if you've got an arthritic left thumb, ideally. We won't be playing guitars, obviously, too much.
We're not going to go the full Danny Baker and try and build an entire arthritic body. Jeff in Ealing has thrown in with an arthritic right little finger. Only 25 more to go.
That's an idea. Maybe we'll just keep it built up, podcast by podcast, because it can't do it necessarily live. We'll ask people to call in. So that's going to be our running theme for the next 6 months.
We could have
How many bones are there?
Like a black and white outline on the wall of a human body, and mark the bits off as we go.
That's it. Right, next week, not only will we be reviewing, we'll keep it a surprise to the end of the podcast, but we'll also be looking at hips. Yeah. So next week is hips, everybody. Write that down.
Don't knock sciatica, mate, until you've had it. Ooh. By the way, this has proven that we do, in fact, like talking about our ailments. I was struggling for something to write.
We did.
Something to make you say earlier on. It turns out I picked exactly the right subject.
Fertile ground. If we met, if we did this when we first met, it would have been a rather quick conversation. But I'll tell you what, boy, when you get a bit older, it's this is great content.
All right, rein us back in, Steve. Get us pointing in the right direction. Enough of this so-called bants.
Yes, alleged bants.
Extract from Dr. Douglas Moran's diary. Entered my office, 4th floor admin corridor at 1840. Dr. Rose and one other individual present. Other individual, male, approximately 6 foot in height, approximately age 25, muscular build, blonde hair, blue eyes, clean shaven, trousers and undergarments removed. Dr. Rose was stood behind my desk wearing a shirt, trousers, and undergarments around his ankles. Other individual bent forward over my desk in front of Dr. Rose, hips flexed to 90 degrees. Dr. Rose and other individuals seemingly engaged in ano-penetrative sexual intercourse with other individual, the ano-receptive partner. Dr. Rose disengaged from the apparent coitus immediately after I entered the room. Both parties reconstituted their clothing. The other individual exited the room, penis tumescent, left office at 1842.
We have a 3-step process on Audiobook Club where we talk about the author, we talk about the text of the book, the story, and then, of course, we talk about the audiobook production and performance. Namely, what do we think of the narrator? Does it add, bring anything to the party? Does it add to the printed version? So, yeah, that's what we'll do. So we'll kick off with number 1 on that process. Over to you, Matt, for the author.
Well, Adam Richard Kay was born on the 12th of June 1980. He's a British TV writer, author, comedian, and former doctor. That's the way Wikipedia put it. The lovely way he put it on his own, or his publisher put it on his own profile on Amazon is, Adam Kay is an award-winning writer and former non-award-winning junior doctor. Being a junior doctor gave birth to This Is Going to Hurt, his 2017 factual book about his time as a doctor. That sold over 3 million copies in 37 languages. Now, they don't mention how many copies, as you mentioned, 'twas the night shift before Christmas. When we tried to get in touch with Adam Kay through his publishers, through official lines, I have to say that when they came back, said he's full up. He's not doing any promo for this book, but he's doing a Christmas book.
Yes.
Did you actually? You mentioned that you'd read other ones of his. Did you read the Christmas one?
No, I hadn't. No. I mean, I definitely would have done, obviously, if he was going to come on. But no, I missed out on that one. But it's one of those books that it's on the wish list, but I haven't got around to buying it yet because
it's all right.
We've got other stuff to do homework on, you know.
Look. I'm going to say I didn't quite turn that interview down, but I wasn't in a rush to pick up the phone and ask for him to talk about it at that point. I haven't read it, but it reminds me of, on Radio 1, Mark Radcliffe and Mark Riley, Mark and Lard. You had a skit they did where if ever a song had a little bit of jingling in the background, they go, "Oh, a cynical attempt at the Christmas market." And I think
not?
you want your Christmas annual to come out. Maybe I think his problem was he used all his material in the first book, and he had to go early with the Christmas one. I hope it was successful, but it doesn't really say that it was here.
No.
So he's also done children's books, Kay's Marvelous Medicine, and a picture book, Amy Gets Eaten. And you can go and have a look at adamk.co.uk if you want to know more about him. Steve, I can relate to Adam Kay. He is a couple of characters in this book, in fact, a whole family who are sort of North London Jews. Have you ever met anyone with the name Eitan before?
No, never.
You see, I went to school with 2 Eitans.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Congratulations! You had something on me there. I'd never heard the name before.
Well, it's quite a Jewish name, and I think that the obvious thing, Eitan Rose. People always point this stuff out to me. I don't believe it, but Eitan Rose and Adam Kay, both 2-syllable followed by 1-syllable names. I think Eitan is a projection. Eitan, the lead character in the book, is a projection of Adam Kay, or certainly someone not dissimilar to the author in terms of his origins and, well, indeed, profession. They do the same thing. So it's almost there is still a little factual, autobiographical lilt to this whole book, I would say. So I think his background is key.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking forward to his universe-spanning space opera. Maybe that's what he'll do next.
But that's you stick the phrase "in space" on the end of anything, sort of fairly regular, and it's absolutely dynamite and brilliant, isn't it? Yeah,
in space.
There's a panto going on down the road from where I am. It's a brandly newly written panto called Robin Hood in Space.
Too early for carolers, mate. That's what I say.
I see what you mean, though. I even in the chapters I listen to, there is that correlation. There were passages in there where I half expected him to get full on. This is going to hurt. To be fair,
yeah,
and so yes, I can see where you make that point. Yeah, definitely.
Well, you and I did have a brief conversation about this off air, and actually, I think let's get through what the book is quickly, and then get on to the bellowing elephant in the room that is perhaps the trouble that, or the difficulty that I think we both had with Andy Serkis as narrator. We're going to critique Andy Serkis for his acting in a minute, but let's get the subject matter of the book down. To wit, the part of the show that people tune into from countries all around the world, both hemispheres, from deserts to the top of mountains. It is Steve Phillips reads the blurb from the back of the book. Sir, take it away.
The world, and indeed the reader, squirms extremely. Right then, when a toxic hospital consultant dies of a heart attack, fellow Dr. Ethan Rose smells foul play. Nobody else does, though, including some quite crucial players like the police and the coroner. But Ethan just won't let it drop, and his friends and colleagues become increasingly concerned about his mental health as his chaotic investigation and equally chaotic life spiral out of control. Is he making a career-ending mistake, or could there genuinely be a killer stalking the wards?
Right.
Wow, this sounds like a really good book, that.
Yeah, it is that good. Now, of course, Adam Kay is wandering into the already overcrowded arena of the whodunit. We are fans of Richard Osman, who his detectives are a bunch of old people.
Have you seen the movie, by the way?
I have. I need to get over myself. It was all fine, but I couldn't stick it because of Pierce Brosnan as a Cockney West Ham fan. Every time he opened his mouth. Unlike others, I liked Ben Kingsley, but overall, I just went, oh, thank God that's over. You? What did you think?
I was sort of take it for what it was. Because listening to Richard Osman talk about it beforehand, when he said, I completely let them just get on with it. I didn't have anything to do with the movie. And I quite like that attitude. And so they made it. It's literally, it's not spoke. I think it feels more inspired by the book than being a complete ball by ball, word for word adaptation.
Yeah, well, that reminds me of Lee Child on giant, wandering, itinerant former soldier Tom Cruise was cast as Jack Reacher in the film. So he went, well, I consider them to be a totally different universe that stands alone. Right, okay, so yeah, this one, Richard
Right.
Osman.
It should have been Richard Briers.
Yeah, Richard Osman kind of, I thought he disowned it and gave us a warning. It's really good. It's like he said on his own podcast, it's like a grandchild. You can be proud, but you're not necessarily as close to it. Oh, this is going to stink, isn't it? By the way, while we're doing...
yes, let's throw it back in.
Well, no, not at all, go the other way. No. While we're doing Richard Osman hate, have you seen the Linda LaPlante take on Richard Osman?
No.
He's fucking everywhere.
Oh, is that what she said?
Yeah, Linda LaPlante. Thank God somebody. I always get suspicious when the whole of the population is pointing in the same direction. But thank goodness Linda LaPlante has restored balance and normality by absolutely hating Richard Osman. Big fan.
Well, the thing is, there was a time when Linda LaPlante was everywhere. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, she's probably just jealous.
Suspect years, but maybe there's is there a bit of beef?
Well,
bit of beef there.
Maybe it's a Mirren thing. Like,
she's not related to Alan Titchmarsh, is she? Linda Joy Titchmarsh. She was born as Linda LaPlante. There we go. Sorry. Yeah,
right. Okay. Now hold on a sec. Have you just done so? So is that where she got her name from?
Oh yes, of course. No, her husband was Richard LaPlante.
Oh,
so yeah,
is he related to John Le Mesurier?
Yeah, if I'm totally doing that, if I marry someone famous off the TV, I'm definitely going to change my name to the subject of the TV show. Yeah, that's totally happening. So who's
Steve?
Out there?
Simply years ahead.
Roadshow. I become sort of Steve Insurance Claim or something like that. I don't know. For Antiques Roadshow. Anyway, I
think we've lost this one. Rein in.
It's surreal here. Yeah.
So we used to. I like a whodunit. I didn't realise it was my favourite genre until you pointed out just how often my book recommendations are whodunits. It's a crowded field where loads of people have innovated well. As I've just mentioned, Richard Osman's idea of setting it with 4 retired people living in an old folks' home. That's one way of doing it. The Anthony Horowitz stuff we've been listening to recently, where he is the bumbling assistant to the grumpy man so that's really clever. And this one, it's Adam Kay and it's a doctor. So I wasn't looking forward to. I was standing there going, right, what are you going to bring to the genre?
Yeah.
And the answer is, I think in the end, the text acquits itself. It's kind of, for strange reasons, I ended up watching a couple of excerpts from Doctor in Love films. The Doctor, do you remember the Doctor and Carry On films? Do you remember those? So there's a long British tradition of
bawdy, filthy sort of double entendre farces.
Well, Doctor in Love begins with a doctor arriving for work hungover. And then, of course, you get James Robertson Justice, the wonderful old character actor who we heard Andy Serkis doing sort of an impression of him as the nemesis of the young doctor with the bellowing voice. And Steve, just for you, I have been to the internet and I've found the real James Robertson Justice. This is what Andy Serkis was trying to do at that point.
Now, you. When we've cut through the skin, what's the first substance we shall find?
Subcutaneous fat, sir.
Quite right. And then we come across the surgeon's worst enemy, which is what? Speak up, man! Blood, you numbskull! You cut a patient, he bleeds until the processes of nature form a clot and stop it. This interval is known scientifically as the bleeding time. You, what's the bleeding time?
10:10, sir.
I've never heard that clip, but I know that quote. What's the bleeding time?
Look, and the other thing that we're used to from Adam Kay's work that is powerful, and it is the crux of This Is Going to Hurt, and I haven't read anything of his since, which is slipping people their NHS vegetables. So you entertain them, you make them laugh. He has an incredible sense of humour, which we'll come into a minute. I mean, even do you know who the book is dedicated to, Steve?
I can't remember. It was spoken to me.
It was to Elsa, Anna, and Olaf for looking after his children while he wrote the book.
Yeah.
Do you know who they are?
I don't know.
You wouldn't.
Frozen,
yeah. So basically, he's dedicated the book to
very nice. Very nice. Of course. Why did I make that connection? Well, because I'm irrelevant, yeah.
No. But that's the point. That is the nature of Adam Kay's humour. You miss it for a second, and you go back and look at it again and go, oh, actually, that's quite funny.
Yes.
So he does a lot of that through the book. It's not subtle, but he doesn't showboat his comedy lines, and I think you know where I'm going with this. But he slips, while entertaining us, he slips us the NHS vegetables. So he campaigns for the British National Health Service and the well-being of doctors. Some interesting stuff that, the usual stuff is the lack of budget, and half of the buildings in the hospital are prefab. Social life of doctors ruined by overrunning clinics. There's this lovely Project 2040, which looms over everyone else. You've worked in a couple of bureaucracies in your time, haven't you, Steve?
Oh, yes, I think we all have, yes.
The idea that there's a Project 2040 that will look into the future and bring efficiencies, yes. That's familiar to both of us. And there's a lovely bit where he goes, and other doctors would have done it, but they've all fucked off to Australia. And I have met you remember stories of my doctor in Australia, Dr. Dalrymple from Norfolk, who used to like putting his name in the jokes. But also I met numerous other people in Australia who are living perfectly nice lives in Adelaide with a house with 2 cars and a swimming pool and children, running around outside, because the quality of life is infinitely better, and you can afford, I think they get paid more and they can get more for the more money that they're getting. So loads of doctors are running off to Australia. So he's done all of those things. But yeah, you're still going, okay, so that's Adam Kay doing a murder mystery and all the stuff you'd expect. I should imagine that's what your experience of the text of the book is so far.
Yes, it is. It did leave me wondering, as we've been talking actually about, you mentioned it's a crowded market, and just to sort of, if I just pull us off to the side just for the moment, just for 30 seconds, I'm quite taken with the idea of the why done it. And I don't know what you think about that idea, but having watched Adolescence on Netflix earlier in the year, yes, you find out who the killer is right from the start. And then you work through what happens afterwards and the process they go through, and you try to get to the bottom of why they done it. It exposes much more stuff, and then you got a reveal. You still got that kind of reveal at the end. Be interested to get your thoughts on that as to whether that would work, whether that could become quite a burgeoning market. It may well be already, actually, to be fair. But yeah, your thoughts as a fan of the genre.
Yeah, it's called Columbo, mate. Shall we move on to the audiobook?
Okay, right, fine. So then, let's go to the Serkis.
All right. Andy Serkis, famous for being Gollum in The Lord of the Rings, King Kong's, Caesar in the Planet of the Apes, and various parts in Star Wars. He's known for his physical acting and his physical vocal acting, and for some reason he was chosen as the narrator of this book.
Yes.
You need a pretty good reason to go to the morgue. Oh, I just fancied poking about in the cabinets, didn't usually cut it. Eitan's visits tended to centre around ash cash. In what he considered an extremely poor incentive to keep patients alive, anytime someone opted for cremation, a doctor was required to complete a form, for which they were paid £82. It was a simple form confirming that the ex-patient met 2 essential criteria for their creme-based sojourn. 1, they were dead, and 2, they didn't have a pacemaker wedged in their chest. The first was important for obvious reasons. The second, because if a pacemaker happened to find its way into a furnace, the odds are it would explode, taking with it the patient, the crematorium, and its staff. So,
Steve.
Yeah.
What was your experience? We can talk about it now. We've listened to that. What was your experience of this audio book for the 3 chapters that you managed to get through?
Yeah, I don't know how everyone else feels. Well, I've had a look at some of the reviews from Audible, and I'll select a couple towards the end. But I wasn't. This was miscast, I think. Unfortunately, as much as I love Andy Serkis, I think he's absolutely incredible. Just a complete one-off. Was he right for this book? No. If I'm going to get sort of, I mentioned earlier on how Adam Kay was. Yeah, there's a lot of kind of this is going to hurt, not isms necessarily, but it was leaning heavily into that kind of narrative. And Adam Kay, actually, to be fair, delivers that perfectly well himself.
Yeah,
I thought. So I think too much. It was just it was so rich. It's like eating. It's like, I don't know, going to a function and getting served by the catering there, and you've got the richest chocolate cake that is just, you can only have one slice of it, but it just felt like eating the richest chocolate cake ever for about 10 hours. It was far too rich and for too long.
Yeah, I agree. And overacting is what I would say. The point of Adam Kay's narrative is in the book that I'm used to hearing his voice written and his voice spoken, and the two of them work well together.
It was done more for the murder mystery side than the setting and than what actually is supposed to make it different. Murder mystery is a very obviously well trodden path, but the particular story set in an NHS hospital and all the rest of it kind of needed a combination of Adam Kay and not necessarily Andy Serkis, but someone else, maybe someone who played Adam Kay. I don't know. We're sort of edging to who we thought might do a better job of it.
Don't go too early, Steve. Clip 5 here. This is me. I'm about to give Andy Serkis, who probably won an Oscar or certainly been involved in Oscar-winning films, I'm about to give him some acting lessons.
She buzzed him in, and he found the lift. It was occupied by a man who looked like Beetlejuice had been incompletely resuscitated at the scene of an RTA. He was holding a broken bottle and was using it to score graffiti onto an already conclusively desecrated mirror. Coming in or what? Yes, 9th floor, please. Press it yourself. This ain't fucking Harrods.
Yeah, whereas we're used to Adam Kay going, and the food in the canteen was a bit rubbish. But that's to be expected, really.
Like a throwaway line. If Andy Serkis would have been better off just reading it like Adam Kay would have read that line.
Serkis
sort of almost throwaway.
He's reading every line and the lift. And you know he's acting when he does that bit in his voice. And the door opened.
The roar.
I think because we have such a big... We have to admit, Steve, that by being in London and having been to our hospital in London at some point during our lives, we're quite familiar with... And we're the same age-ish. We're the same generation as Adam Kay. Actually, you're pretty close. You're about a year away from him, aren't you? If he was born in 1980?
Oh, bless your heart. Yes, he's a few years away.
Oh, right, okay. But it was just too much. And I understand that Adam Kay would feel he didn't have the acting chops or experience to be able to do the character voices. And that's fair enough. And also, if you've got Andy Serkis's number and you want the biggest actor you know to read your book, and hopefully that will bring you some sort of, it will attract people to the book because Andy Serkis's name is on it. I think he's a big enough name to do that, wouldn't you, Steve?
Well, of course, if Andy Serkis clearly must be a fan of obviously Adam Kay's work. So many people are, and of course, if they offer, then you do say yes, don't you?
Well, look, if Andy Serkis wants to come and co-present this podcast, you can fuck right off. I'm not sure it would be a better program, but we'd get more
in hell when that happens. You're stuck with me, mate. I'm so sorry.
But yeah,
exactly what you deserve, unfortunately.
I don't know. Or they'll just send me a real monkey to do it with.
I love monkeys.
Yeah. But look, the conclusion that I came to was this book would have been much better read by either Ben Whishaw, who I remember seeing, or Q, the voice of Paddington, and Q from the Daniel Craig James Bond films, who I've seen a BBC drama where he starts off at 4:00 in the morning in a club in Vauxhall. He's even done that bit of it. Either that, or I think Simon Amstell, the former presenter of Nevermind the Buzzcocks, just for their dry, slightly sneery, skinny white boy vibes, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think you're right. I think actually Simon Amstell was actually quite inspired. That's a really inspired choice. Actually.
I'm very happy with that.
Yeah, very happy with that. And obviously Ben Whishaw would have been fantastic. I think you're right. Ben Whishaw would have been absolutely perfect. You've got the name. You've got the dramatic actor.
Yeah,
and you've also primarily got someone who's played Adam Kay himself.
Oh, did he?
In This Is Going to Hurt. Exactly.
Oh, I didn't know that. No,
you didn't even know.
No, I didn't know that.
You wrote it down. No, he played Adam Kay, and This Is Going to Hurt on TV.
Ah, okay. That's why you're so excited.
Absolutely works. Absolutely works. Probably a good time to bring some of the reviews in here. So it's only obviously come out and sort of last couple of weeks or so, but it really is a game of two halves here. So we've had Mrs. K Smeal on Audible saying it's a mad read. This book is quite a ride and as mad as the main protagonist. Really enjoyed it, but it does take you on a wild journey. Andy Serkis read this brilliantly, would love a sequel, but bumping off more staff at St Mary's might be an issue for me, as my son works there. And also, then we have one from Sophie Boss saying, terrible, 1 star. I so wanted to like this book. I've loved all of Adam Kay's books so far. The narration is appalling. I can't work out if the book might have been okay if Adam Kay read it himself, but it was so bad, all of it, that I had to stop listening. Didn't even get past even a quarter of the book. The character is not just unpleasant. There is nothing to draw me in, leaving me to feeling curious about what's going to happen. What a shame. So, but it really is a bunch of 5 stars and 2s and 1s. It's polarizing, I think we would say to say here.
Well, I think you say it's a book of 2 halves. Last week, when we listened to Entitled, the biography of the Duke and Duchess of York, we liked the first half of the book and didn't like the second. And I said, one day we'll find a book where we like the back end and then we'll glue them both together. For me in our chop shop, making a car that is half Skoda, half Lada.
Yeah.
And actually, it's a shame for that Audible reviewer who didn't have the patience to go on listening to it, because the book actually gets better in the second half. The unique stuff in this, in terms of what has Adam Kay brought to the murder book you can buy in Waterstone genre, is that as we've heard in the blurb and at various other points, the lead character and detective is gradually unwinding and is mental, and at one point loses the plot so much that he's actually convinced that he may have committed the murders in one of his blackouts. And I found that, as somebody who has had a diagnosis of bipolar disorder since 2009, that I think this was, since 2011's Homeland, the portrayal of mania in that, this was the best portrayal of not only what mania feels like, but also what it's like to live with somebody who has mania. And I actually found it quite moving. And there were some bits in there. And he thanks a couple of people in the acknowledgements for making... Adam Kay thanks several people for helping him make Eitan's bipolar convincing, but it really is. So the couple of things that got me, if ever I go for a bit of a wobble, people go to me, "Are you taking your meds?" And I just go, anybody who has to live that closely to me, and I think you've got a feeling for some of this, but just the way it's portrayed in this book, and a bit you didn't get to, I found moving. Here are a couple of clips.
Yeah.
Eitan, are you really taking your meds? This happened every time with Mo. The green paint in the kitchen, the charity skydive, every little flash of energy or spirit was immediately put down to his diagnosis rather than genuine enthusiasm.
So, I get that. I've had some good ideas in my time, but whenever I do something that's out of the ordinary or has, and I've had terrible ideas in the past and been convinced that they're brilliant, but it just... every time you have a good idea and then people around you start to look concerned, I felt that hadn't been portrayed as well. And here's another little clip. Sorry, this is clearly very personal to me. I'm being very ineloquent.
No, please do, absolutely.
But there are just some stuff there were some bits in this book where I went, oh shit, I'm not the only one. This is genuinely what it feels like. Have a cast an ear over this.
Eitan had seen enough smiles droop and eyes dull to know that once people found out you had any kind of mental health issue, it was all they could see. But he thought Cole was different. So you're saying I'm nuts?
So Yeah, and even someone you don't know so well who gradually and then just yeah. So I found that to be very compelling. I found the portrayal of mania was accurate. Again, that's the exciting part. I think I've told you before when I had mania, I had one of those moments where I was playing poker and was able to tell everybody else what cards they had on the table because my brain had been overfiring. And whether I was right or not, they all folded and I took in the money. I had that Matt Damon moment. I think I also reinvented the concept of business and gathered all my friends around to tell them what roles they would have.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Might there be a small part in it for me?
No, you don't want to go near it, mate. It's all built on sand. So that was interesting. And there's also a bit where it's the first time I've seen anybody try to portray what it's like for the people around the person with mania. Doing a bit of mania stuff, and I will put a link to the Homeland clip that made me cry in the description. That bit's easy. Mania is exciting. Amazing things happen. I can tell you that it's better than any of the drugs mentioned in this book. And the recreational drugs mentioned in this book. But what it doesn't portray is these 6 months of depression that come between 2-week bouts of mania. Partly it's not Hollywood enough and it would get a bit boring a bit quickly. But this is the first time there's even in this a book called A Companion's Journey, Navigating Bipolar Together by Professor Riley S. Mitchell III, which is a not a self-help book, a helping hand book for people who are living with other people who have a bipolar diagnosis. And the book comes up quite often and is referred to by one of the characters. Got to be careful what I say in case I give it away. As I say, I would like to find out from Adam Kay what A Companion's Journey was based on. So the idea, and is there a book like that out there? And actually, would it be quite useful, considering how flaky I am, and you and I are engaged in this particular endeavour, how it might be for you and me to reveal a book like that on how to cope with some moron who's got bipolar disorder.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, I don't really want you to understand the inside of my head.
Well, I really want to. We've been together now for a number of years, and and I think it's only right that we get inside each other's, just open. I think it's time to open up the hood or the bonnet, depending on where you're listening to this. Really get in there. Yeah, I want to get my wrench out.
Or not
on you, Matt. Yep.
No, but it is. I mean, again, it is a shame. And here's your upsum of the thing, which is, it is a shame that Andy Serkis was chosen as the narrator of this book. I have to say, he does calm down, and if you listen to the last few chapters, either he's run out of energy or someone's had a word. He's being all big top circus when actually what you want is mild-mannered, sarky, thin, dark curly-haired North London Jewish doctor type thing. And the dry, you want the dry delivery that we're used to from Adam Kay. But if you can power through that, or if indeed you're reading the print version, then you get to some stuff that I think is quite important. As I said, as usual, we get the NHS vegetables that he sneaks us with the funding and what doctors' lives are like. Even that little clip we played about the Ash Cash earlier had some interesting bits in it that you find at quirks of the NHS system, which you get paid 83 quid for signing off a dead person, and then a humorous one where if you don't check for a pacemaker, you might explode the cremation machine. That's totally what we're used to from Adam Kay in a couple of paragraphs. But the interesting for me is that if you can get that far, and possibly I only did because I had to, there's really valuable stuff in there about what it's like to have bipolar disorder and also to be somebody who stands next to someone with bipolar disorder, be it a friend, a colleague, or a family member.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder whether, and it's a question for you really, should I have started this book halfway through? Do you think? Would I have picked it up? No,
I think we should. There's almost for sure you want. It's not your fault. It's not you, Steve, and it wouldn't make sense halfway through. But I think if there were an unlimited budget, I would say no. Get the publishers to record it again.
Can I ask you another question? Actually, if Adam Kay had read this, do you think you'd be giving it a more glowing review? This book.
I don't think he would have made it, but yeah, certainly going into fiction, I think he's not just telling stories that happen to him, that most of which I think are probably well practiced. The bits where he is using his own voice would be fine, but perhaps there's a reason he's a writer for television. Maybe he wouldn't have the confidence to do the James Robertson Justice voice, or indeed the Tramp in the Lift voice, or the female voices that you have to do.
I think this just goes to show, no matter how, no matter what your acting chops are and your history and all the rest of it, how good an actor you are, it is difficult to perform an audiobook. It's not just sitting there and reading the words, is it? It really isn't. It is a craft, and it is hard, and if if you get the tone, the pitch, the voices off key, you end up with this sort of situation where this book has, I think, got an average of 3.9 at the moment, but it's also, like I mentioned, 1s and 2s and 5s. Yeah, it should be doing better, shouldn't it? There is a thing that's flitted through my head in the past couple of weeks, or the past week or so, listening to this. Obviously, with my experience of recording in studios for radio ads and stuff like that, I'm not good enough to be an audio book producer. I'm not fast enough, and I'm not technical enough. But the studio scenario, it makes me wonder if the person sitting the other side of the glass from Andy Serkis found it difficult to give Andy Serkis feedback. I always think about it from that. What was it like on the day? Yeah. And by which I mean, it's Andy Serkis. We can't really tell him what to do. And we all know that some actors are a little bit difficult if some plonker in a producer's seat tries to tell them what to do. I've got a great story about Tony Slattery cocained up to the eyeballs at 11 o'clock in the morning doing a thing about the Easter Bunny, which I'll tell you one day. But there are just some people. What a legend! There are some people who aren't necessarily too good at taking direction. The time I told you about with Tom Baker, where fortunately I hadn't he said, "What is this? A direct translation from the fucking Albanian?" So once he'd said that, the idea of me giving him subtle notes went out the window. So I wonder how difficult it was to work with Andy Serkis, would be my question. Yeah. Yes, of course. Yeah, I think. The thing is, we don't know. We can speculate, of course. I just did. Yeah, as you have indeed just done. I've just pointed out something you've already done. So there's my insight. Look, as I say, I think it's a shame. I think there's some really powerful stuff in that book. I think it's updated the slapstick of the long tradition of NHS comedy. The jokes in this one are less matron and more but it's weird that, as I say, I ended up watching the first 10 minutes of the Doctor series of films, Doctor in Love, and this is the same thing. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I think shall we put an RC case to bed then, into a hospital bed? Aren't you lovely? Yes, let's do that. It's time to do that. Give it a bedpan bath about 8 o'clock tonight. Okay, right. That was a particularly nasty case from Adam Kay.
Intimate hygiene, I found out was called recently. From indirect personal experience, you have someone around to deal with your intimate hygiene.
Well, there's a name for the sequel. A particularly nasty case for Adam Kay was read by Andy Serkis. Came out on the 28th of August 2025, 10 hours and 9 minutes, published by Orion. Next week, well, the new season of Blockbusters continues because the latest and the first for quite a while in the Robert Langdon series is released from Dan Brown, of course, scribe of the mythically not mythically, because we've all seen it, it's not a myth anymore, it's just fact from a few years ago, the Da Vinci Code. The next book is out, it's called The Secret of Secrets. This has been much anticipated throughout this last year by Dan Brown. This is narrated by Paul Michael, 22 hours and 50 minutes, and it comes out as we record in 2 days' time, and then we're doing a recording straight after that. Penguin Audio are releasing it, and Matt, you've tasked yourself with doing it. Well, I don't know if you're going to be able to do 22 hours. And
yeah, no, I did, we didn't know how long it was. I thought we're going to do a thing. We'll do a quick turnaround. We'll do the audiobook on the same day that it's released. And yeah, I don't know how I'm going to get 22 hours of listening into
24 hours.
20 hours, isn't it, for us?
Yeah, exactly,
so, yeah. We'll see what happens there. I may have to listen to it on double speed, and it may turn out that the exercise wasn't worth the effort in the end. However, I just remembered my previous experience of Dan Brown books. I think the Da Vinci Code was the last book I actually read in pulp tree form, traditional book form. And I think it may have been partially responsible for the fact that I didn't read an actual physical book for years. I think it may have... I just remember it again being... It kept doing handbrake turns and being some book about mythology and then some bloke running around escaping policemen in the Vatican. So hey, I wonder what this is going to be like.
Be interesting, yeah. It's going to be very interesting, and looking forward to reading one of the to see how it compares with the rest of the series. But that is next week's audio book club. We will be doing Dan Brown, The Secret of Secrets, the book 6 in the Robert Langdon series. Paul Michael narrating, and a stonking 22 hours and 50 minutes comes out 9th of September from Penguin Audio. In the meantime, if you are, you won't have time to tell us what you think of The Secret of Secrets, but let us know what you thought of a particularly nasty case. Our hashtag is Audio Book Club. We're on Blue Sky and Instagram at Audiobook Show if you want to have a chat with us. Also, let us know what you're reading that you think we should be too, to share the love. Matt, until we speak again in a few days' time, best of luck with Dan Brown and all that. I would join you in this thing, but I'll ask some questions and I'll anything I can do to possibly help. Mop your brow or bring you a cup of tea or something. Let me know. But yeah, you should be doing this for charity, actually. Yeah.
There is a certain amount of the ordeal to this idea, isn't there?
There is. This is very much Challenge Layton. So, we'll see how we go with this. I don't think it's going to be the first time we do this in the next few months, but there we are. Anyway, don't forget, if you enjoy Audio Book Club, to hit that subscribe button and get the podcast into your feed whenever we drop one. And by that, of course, I mean podcast. And with that smutty innuendo, given we talked about Doctor in Love earlier on, it's time to say not a goodbye, but simply see you later this week.
Audio Book Club with Steve Phillips and Matthew Layton.
Hold on, before we go.
Yeah.
You talk about amusing lines. I didn't get to play this clip. How about this for the mastery of the art? As we mentioned, Adam Kay's lead man, Aiton Rose, starts off in a nightclub in Vauxhall, and he chats someone up. I'm not giving anything away. It's the first chap. Chats someone up, and they end up going on somewhere else where the dress code is a towel, and it's dark and underground. And he realizes he might want to go in, might not want to go in.
Was he about to find himself in the middle of an orgy out of sheer British awkwardness, like some X-rated Hugh Grant film, Frotting Hill?
Frotting Hill, I thought you'd like that.
And with that one, we've got to carry on our days with that image in our heads now. Right, see you later, guys.